Hi, my name is Michelle, and I am from rural Mpumalanga in a beautiful sunny South Africa. I knit, crochet, sew, sometimes weave on a rigid heddle loom, and I hope to become a proficient spinner. And as you may know from my first episode, I have a problem. I'm drowning in yarn. And that is why I've created this podcast. I'm attempting to seriously reduce my stash, and I hope that you're along for the ride. I started off with 68.5 kilograms of yarn. 68.5. And as I work through the stash, I'm tracking how much I use on each project, and my first goal is to use 10% of that starting point. So my first goal is to use 6.85 kilograms of yarn and see how quickly I get to work through that. And I've got a handy yarn tracker at the end of this episode that will help me track as I go. So grab a crafting project, maybe a cup of something to drink, and join me as I show you what I've managed to make. I'll start with my finished objects. Firstly, not only did I have this upside down, I also had it back to front. I've got the zippered sweater light by Petite Knit, which I knit for my husband in African Expressions Joy, which is a lovely fabric. Let me just remove this bit of fluff, which contains a bit of mohair, and as he tends to get cold quite quickly, I'm really excited for him to be able to wear this. We're always wary of something with a zip. He once wore a sweatshirt similar in style to this, not knit though, and the zip got stuck about halfway down the zipper, and when he asked me to remove it, I said, hang on, I've got this. And I zipped it up completely, and then it wouldn't budge at all, and it ended up in me having to cut it open. So he was very dubious when I first showed him the sweater, but he seems to be really excited as he struggles with neck pain quite a bit, and him keeping his neck warm and toasty will be really handy. I'm quite pleased. I've never installed a zipper in knitwear before, and it's always something I attempt very cautiously on a sewing machine and very slowly, so I've had to redo it twice, but I'm really pleased with how it looks. The only thing, I'm not particularly happy with how it looks at the bottom, so I might have to fiddle with that some more, but it's finished. Ends are woven in, it's been washed, and I'm really pleased with it. He can hopefully wear it with a cold spell that we've got coming this week. I've received a comment to show my project slightly longer, so I'm really attempting that this week, and I hope I'm not obnoxious with exactly how long I'm showing them now. Then, my next project, and sorry, I dropped it to the floor. My next project is, no, not this one. The second project I'd like to show you is the Meadow child's top with ruffles, which is a free pattern on Ravelry and which I'll link in the description, which is a top for my daughter. This color is really difficult to show. It is a yellow with a bit of sparkle to it. It's knit in Moya Shimmer, which is a local yarn company, and it consists of cotton and bamboo, and the bamboo is what gives it this bit of sheen, with a lovely ruffle, which is really lovely to knit. It's got the ruffle on both sleeves as well as the bottom, and it is bound off with an I-cord neckline, and then I've got this lovely pearl button at the back with a keyhole opening to comfortably fit her head through. I love a pearl button. And as I was going through my stash, I re-encountered all my whips or UFOs, and they really were UFOs because they were just lying in a bag. And as I came across this, I thought, oh, it will be too small for her by now. I'm just going to frog it and perhaps use the yarn for something else. And when I looked again, my little girl, who's 3 years old, was wearing this inside out and telling everybody how pretty her shirt was, even though it was extremely cropped at that point. So luckily it still fit her, and I decided, well, I better finish it. And she looks absolutely beautiful. This yellow color suits her really well. She's got a dark skin and she looks absolutely beautiful in it. And she's really pleased with it as well. So as soon as spring starts in another month or so, she'll be ready to go. I might even have her wear this for photo day at school. Sorry, the light really glares out there. This might be really lovely for her photo day at school this year. That might be a good idea. The feel of this yarn, it's actually one of my favorite bases to work with, a cotton and bamboo. It's lovely for summer as well. And I love yellow. If I haven't said that before, it's my favorite color, and it has been for quite a while. And although I haven't shown you anything yellow yet. And then lastly, the last project I finished is the November vest, also by Petite Knit. And I've only knit 3 of her patterns to date, of which I'm showing you 2 today. It is a vest knit in brioche, and the neckline and armholes and the bottom of the vest are all made in double knitting. You knit everything at the same time, so there's no picking up stitches at the end, which is really convenient. And it's got beautiful detailing where you join I just want to make sure I'm showing you the outside. I am. Where beautiful detailing on the just behind the shoulder, where you start working the back. This is lovely. As I indicated, most of the body is done in brioche, which was really hard on my hands. So I'm really pleased that this is only a vest and I didn't have to bother with sleeves. It's also got it also has pockets, which I've knit, but I'm not satisfied. I've sewn them on, or I've sewn one on, and I just can't get my tension right when sewing it on, and it keeps on looking weird. So I need to consider what I'm going to do with these. I might end up not adding them at all. I've actually worn the vest without the pockets, but I really like the way the pockets finishes off the vest. So I think I need to try again. Maybe now that I've adequately added the zipper to my husband's sweater, this might go a bit easier. Surely it can't be as hard or as annoying as adding the zipper. It certainly won't be as hard on my hands. So here she is, the November vest. Those are the 3 projects I've managed to finish. And I realized I forgot to show you my what I'm wearing. This is the Fairag Cardigan. I'm unsure of the pronunciation, and I'll stand up a little bit. It is this repeating cable and lace pattern throughout, which is absolutely lovely. And I've realized when doing this is actually my favorite kind of knitted item, is cables and lace. My friend Hilda shared again this week the difference between a process and a progress knitter, and I'm definitely a process knitter. I enjoy the variation of stitches. I dread getting to a part of a body where I've got stockinette stitch, which seems to go forever. So this is my favorite kind of knit, and I've only got this one sweater, or this one top I've knitted this way in my wardrobe, so I'll definitely have to add to it. The fit on this is absolutely perfect, and I tend to wear this quite a lot. One of my whips, although not a knitting whip, one of my sewing whips is a skirt that I bought the fabric specifically to go with this, or no, I bought the yarn specifically to make something to go with a skirt I'm making. So I better finish that. And even though I don't knit a pattern more than once, because life is simply too short, I may have to give this another go. I absolutely love this. It's one of my favorites, especially now that we've got a lovely warm day. I'm enjoying this before we hit another cold spell next week. I've knit this in Colorspan's Scintilla, which, if I recall correctly, is a cotton viscose blend. Yes, cotton and viscose in a lovely red. It's a beautiful colorway. Dana does amazing colors in all of her yarn bases, and I'm really pleased with how this came out. What happened with this pattern, I think I saw this on Instagram, immediately went to Ravelry, and the pattern was only available in Shetland Wool Week's magazine. And I had a look through the patterns in there, and there was nothing else I wanted to knit in the pattern book. And I realized Shetland Wool Week's books or patterns that were included in books don't seem to be exclusively available there. So I ended up reaching out to the designer of this pattern, thinking I don't want to buy a physical book, which then has to be sent from the UK, and I'm really trying to declutter my home. Then I have another book with 1 out of 8 patterns that I'll use, and that just seemed to not be worth the efforts I'm currently undergoing in my home, or was undergoing in my home at that time. So I ended up reaching out to the designer, and she said yes, she was of the intention to release this pattern as a standalone on Ravelry. And I ended up waiting a few months, and when it became available, I cast on. I'm so pleased I did. It was absolutely worth the wait. As I said, this is my favorite thing I've ever made. It also helps that I worked it on a weekend when we had our daughter about a year. My husband and I went away for the first time for a weekend, and I spent a bit of that weekend working on this. So this brings back the memories of that lovely, relaxing weekend, of time spent in the jacuzzi, somebody coming to our villa for a massage. It was just amazing. So yes, I think that might be part of why I absolutely love wearing this. Isn't it interesting how wearing something brings back the memories of when you made something? I find that's absolutely lovely, and one of the main reasons I enjoy knitting so much, or at least wearing my knits so much. Then I'd like to show you the progress I made on my whips. I'll be showing you 2 of the whips I showed you last week. On one of them I've made absolutely no progress. I don't even know where it is at the moment. It is floating around somewhere. It's not even in my whip trolley. So I've made substantial progress on one of them. Very little on the other, but let me show you in any case. This is the Doppio Sweater, which is a bulky knit, which, as I indicated last week, goes very, very quickly if you actually spend time on it. I've maybe knit another 5 centimeters, if that. It is a sweater pattern worked from the top with a faux raglan, so I need to still sort that out when I've completed my knitting. But this is now where it gets. This is just plain stockinette knitting, which, as I've indicated, I find fairly tedious. And then it's also got faux seams on both sides where you work 1 pull stitch. And I keep on forgetting about the pull stitch, because when I do knit on this is usually in the dark when I sit with my daughter for her to fall asleep. And I know it's just stockinette. So every few rows I know I have to drop down 2 stitches to work those pulls. It's worked on 6mm needles, which is quite large for me to work with. So this goes really quickly, as I said, when I actually knit on it. It will get some work done today as our national rugby team, the Springboks, have a rugby match today, which I will watch. And that is the perfect time for me to knit stockinette stitch. So I think I'll get a substantial bit of work done on this today, as that is at least 2 hours of me knitting. I love this color. I've had a bit of a change to my taste. I used to like bright rainbow colors, and suddenly I've really developed my taste for more neutral colors have really developed. So I'm really looking forward to this. This is with the same yarn I made my Harris hood with that I showed you last week. And as I was knitting the Harris hood, I thought, oh, I love the color. And then as I finished winding up my stash, I realized I had enough for a sweater. So we'll see how far I get. Hopefully I get to wear this. I know we've got a very bad cold spell coming up within the next week or so. It would be lovely to still be able to wear it this season. So I think I better get a wriggle on and see how far I can get with this. Then I'll show you the blanket that I made the most progress with last. The second project I worked on this week. This came at the perfect time. The same friend of mine who really encouraged me to start this podcast, we became friends through me testing a few of her crochet patterns for her, and we became genuine friends. And then she reached out and said she knows of somebody who's looking for pattern testers for a knit for a child, if anybody is interested. And I said, you know what, I'll do it. I have got time. I do have this stash to work through. I have a 3-year-old daughter. If I can use yarn from my stash and I can knit it for my daughter's size, I'll happily sign up, which I did. And when the pattern came through, it's called the Emily crossover. It obviously isn't available yet. My daughter is also called Emily, so I thought that was a bit of fate, I suppose. This is the back of the sweater, which I'm nearly done with. I've started binding off a few stitches on each end for the armholes, and yes, I've just got the top back to go, and then the front of the sweater, which I'm waiting for the pattern to become available. And what makes this really handy, I had a bit of yarn left from the blankets I'm crocheting, which I'll be showing you next. I was wondering what I was going to do with it, and a little crossover cardigan for my daughter is perfect. I think I'll have just enough yarn left. I'm making it in 2 colors. I'm doing it in this and a very light, very similar pink, which will be perfect for her ballet. She doesn't have a ballet cardigan, so she'll be able to do this. I might end up doing stripes on the sweater, on the sleeves, I beg your pardon. I'm really trying to make the most of the yarn I have so that I don't want to have much of either color left at the end of this, because I don't know what I'd use it with. It's an acrylic pure gold by Elle. Makes the most beautiful colors, and the stitch definition on this is just lovely. This is a very soft pastel-y purple. It's very pretty. So I'm quite pleased with this. This took me all of 2 hours to knit maybe. So it's quite enjoyable and a great way for me to use up this last bit of my stash. And then lastly, I just took a sip. You can hear my voice going. Is the Starburst Granny. Just want to reactivate my camera so I can see how this shows on camera. The Starburst Granny Square blanket. I only had a few blocks left to go when I showed this last week, and I've managed to finish all the blocks, and I've crocheted together all of the blocks. I had quite a bit of sewing together done already when I showed it off last week, and I started with the edge last night, my apologies. I tried a few things you might recall from last week. I didn't know what to do with the edge. I considered using the natural, but that just turned out to be very, very bland. So I'm going to use the yarn I have left in the various colors. I don't think I won't be able to use everything, as I won't enjoy knitting half a round or only a portion of a round in a particular color. I'd prefer to be able to work an entire round in each color. So I'm thinking the blue, the green, and the light pink, or the darker pink I've got on here somewhere, this color, this pink. I might alternate it with the neutral or the white color in between. I'll see how that goes, because I need each border side to be about 5 centimeters wide, I think, which is about half the width of each block, which means my blanket will be 150 centimeters by 150 centimeters, which is the size I like for a blanket. I'm not much taller than that. I'm just under 5'2", so that is the perfect size for me to sit under, although I see my daughter's been stealing the blanket to sit underneath it already. I absolutely love the colors. These pastel colors are beautiful, so I think we'll have to dig out to see who ends up using it. I don't know how crazy I am about putting this in my daughter's bedroom, considering the light main color of this blanket. She still tends to make a mess out of everything, so we'll see how it goes. Then I should be able to finish this week. I also hope to finish the test knits this week, and I don't think I'll be able to finish the Doppio as well. But then, as you might recall from last week, I have which is actually another petite knit pattern, the black vest, that I'm also knitting. I've got that on the go. And then as I'm starting to finish projects, I always start looking forward to the next one. I haven't done color work for a little while, so I'm considering Here Comes the Sun, which is a colorway sweater for which I specifically bought the yarn for it. I've already wound up balls in each of the 4 colors, so that is ready to go. But I also realized I really need a good pair of fingerless gloves. So that might be something worthwhile going into some of my yarn scraps for. I've previously knit the Potster gloves for my husband, which is a fantastic pattern, and it's a free pattern. So I might have to cast on that, and then I'd really like to knit a dress for my daughter. I very recently bought her thigh-high socks with a white ribbon on the side, and I think she really needs a knitted dress to wear with it. So I need to look for patterns, but I'm really struggling to find a pretty dress pattern I like. So those are my next ideas. Apart from finishing the whips I already have on the go, which I haven't shown you yet, because as I indicated, my plan is to just show you what I worked on that week. Right, let us go for the stash wind up. Let me just get this blanket off my lap. There you go. The zipper sweater used 638 grams of yarn. The Ange Meadow top, the one I knit for my daughter, and I don't recall whether I indicated previously, it's a free pattern, and she's got quite a lot of sizes, so it is really worth looking at. It uses a very small amount of yarn. For that I used 117 grams of yarn. And the November vest, excluding the pockets, which I should probably have added, but be that as it may, it's 426 grams of yarn, for a total of 1,181 grams of yarn, or 23.6 50-gram skeins of yarn, which means I currently have 65.2 kilograms of yarn left to go, or 1,314 50-gram skeins of yarn. I'm really sorry, I see that you can catch the bottom of my notebook at the bottom of the screen. I'll try to remember not to do that again. And that is what I've got to show you this week. Until next time, may your yarn never tangle. You win every round of yarn chicken. Your stitches be even, and your stash becomes something beautiful. Bye.